Hey, Kai, how you doing today?
Pretty good. How you doing?
No complaints. Do you mind being zoomed in like this, or you want me to pull out a bit and give a wider angle?
I don't mind.
For those of us for you guys that are coming back for more after watching 8 or 9 hours of us game today, appreciate you coming in. You don't have to, but thank you for being here. Um,
Definitely.
so back in January, you were talking about kind of the nebulous thing of combat rounds and how problematic it can be sometimes for people to wrap their head around like a unit of time, which shouldn't be problematic. It really should be something that you're used to because you're used to hours and minutes and seconds. And a lot of people, they when they come into game terms, they want things to be a little bit more vague or nebulous.
I yeah. I also
Um,
yeah. Sorry.
go ahead. Go ahead.
No, you're gonna add a little more framing works to that.
Yeah, I'm going to add some words into here. The thing
Okay.
is that when it comes to like an actual quote unquote a game that has victory conditions we'll just use like say Starfleet battles. How long is a game turn in Starfleet battles?
If you play it out, about an hour and a half. If you actually look at how much time actually passes, something around fractions of a second per impulse, and it gets rather hilarious when you think about how much it just gets retarded. The most you get, the more you look into it, then you realize, no, these ships are moving at ridiculous speeds, and they're charging. No, it takes two turns, and then you realize, like, no, to, you know, charging that photon properly is a three turn. It fires, then you got to recharge. Sorry, no, that's plasma. Plasma is charge rate of fire. It's photons is charge fire, and disruptors are I charge I fire, and phasers the same way. But when you translate the show onto the game, you realize that each turn is actually like seconds in length,
Yes.
and it's like, but you're spending hours, between power allocation, working your way through each three two impulses to a turn, and then you gotta fire. Make sure you work through six impulses, so that way you can fire on turn 24, 26. So that way you're it. So that way you you meet the six impulse delay before you can fire a second time for phasers and disruptors and any one turn overcharge weaponry. It's ridiculous, all the rules. It's been a while since I played it, so I might be a little bit off. So, God, the fact that I can still remember all these rules this long, God,
And
hell,
that's kind of an illustration I have there. Like there's sometimes whenever you discover a game you really like or enjoy, or it just represents part of the lore that you enjoy so much, and no matter how the game quote unquote shakes out, you want to play it a lot, and it commits to memory.
yeah,
And
I
it I didn't mean to I don't mean to have you get a aneurysm or a nosebleed here, but just I wanted to ask you about something that would be really near and dear to your heart because for me, like a miniature game that I would probably rush back into if I didn't have Frostgrave, if I didn't know about Stargrave. If somebody said, "Hey, Bruce, can you bring your Van Sars over for a game of, or a League of Necromunda?" Like, okay, just go ahead, put the fish hook in me. I'll come. And
yeah.
that's one of those things. That was the first tactical game with RPG elements I ever played, and for me, that's like almost high art. Necromunda I thought was really well done for the time that it was brought out, and I had never played anything else like that before in my life, and it spoke volumes to me. and that was in the middle of the time when I was converting over from second edition Star Wars with the Wild Die to second edition AD&D. And I
Yeah.
mean, I was enjoying both. I really like Star Wars. I could run a Star Wars campaign pretty much forever because things in that game seem to level out better over time than most D&D games, which is like second edition. Oh, we're going to play a second edition game. Oh, cool. So we're stopping between what, sixth and ninth level? We're ending at 12th. You know, right when my wizard starts to get cool, you want to call the game. Thanks. You know, and I really hate that about second ed AD&D, but a lot of players, you know, they don't have a wizard character, so they don't want to play for, you know, 3 4 years at a time. You know, whereas I've got like a handful of players at my table right now that, Bruce, if you can keep coming up with challenges to make do for our characters, which are mathematical scrap heaps and just amazing pylons of numbers, we'll be more than happy to keep playing until we're over 80 years old. That's kind of weird, but I want to just say that third ed D&D played the long game a lot better than the second ed D&D did, or first ed for that matter.
Huh. Yeah, that's oof.
I could run a Star Wars campaign with the same characters for 4 years and come
Oh,
up with
easy.
ways to challenge them, and they really weren't overpowered. They did have some characters that had like 9 and 10D in like some things like blaster or dodge.
But the thing here is that when you're playing a game like that, congratulations, you're finally up on par with the movie characters who have 8 9 dice. And at that point, it's like you're no longer playing small fry who are having adventures in the Star
Yeah,
Wars universe. You're actually playing characters who are befitting a novel, the novels in
yeah,
the comic books. And at that point, you transition from that gritty street level cyberpunk Shadowrun. Oh, we occasionally hear about a cool starfighter duel, or ooh, I have this X-wing that I've rebuilt in my garage. To no, you're now Rogue Squadron, or you're part of Home One's battle, a Home One equivalent battle group, out in the Outer Rim, or you're doing something interesting, top flight interesting. And with how big the galaxy is, and I really do think that the galaxy is far bigger than what most people will ever let it be, because honestly, you should never ever see, know, or be in the same time zone as a named character from any of the movies. It, their lives are so mapped out down to the minute where they're at any point in time, thanks to all the books and comics that have to revolve around your favorite character, that where they're if you're a GM, where they're at all points in existence. You never have to use them, never see them, because you're in a galaxy of 1,000 sectors. Sorry, 1,000 sectors with 100 worlds in each sector, and you're looking at 1 million inhabited worlds just in the known Old Republic, not counting the Outer Rim, not counting the unexplored territories, not counting the deep core, not counting anywhere else. And you can actually go and surprise, there are actually people who live on these worlds, who go out and have had lives and adventures. The Clone Wars ravaged across the entire Republic. You'd think somebody else might have had an adventure on par with Anakin and Obi-Wan. So if you want to play, so there's going to be some veterans out there who might actually be somebody notable, because while Clone Wars did a great job of filling in the shit sandwich that was Lucas's original trilogy and prequel trilogy, and Rebels did a good job. Rebels did a great job of going, here's an entire up until like season 3 when they introduced Ahsoka into it, which is like, oh hey, look, now it's the Clone Wars again, yay! Um, and but you can get the idea that you could have an entire just in a single sector far away, and you can have whole adventures around the idea that maybe there's an Imperial weapons practice facility out there, and time moves. Like you can do cool shit. The book's introduced cool shit for you to enjoy and be part of. And so yeah, I could run in Star Wars for an eternity, and it's like, and not care. It's like I could create new ships in my in my sleep and make it all fit logically. It's like, is this a KDY design? Yeah. How do you know? It's a wedge, and some variation on wedgie shape. I'm sorry, I'm rambling, but I mean,
No. You're going along the standard thought process for ship identification.
yeah.
I know
Sign art.
stuff. Okay.
Sign art tends to be a bit more pointier, a bit more angular. Definitely has a modular description to it. So therefore, if you look at it, you're going to go, there's some common components that are going to be very, very standard. You're going to look at it and be able to know Sinar fleet systems, Kuat drive yards, Corellian engineering, Rendili star drive. You're going to look at them and all go, okay, there's parts I can recognize. You can just instantly tell these are major ship components. Okay, that's an ugly because it's been modified with multiple parts. So it's the Mopar of space. That's Corellian engineering. Is Mopar of space. And
There's some real ugly ship designers out there in Star Wars land. I'll just say that.
oh yeah, and the thing is that there's so much going on, and people are like, oh, and I've seen some people who think they're like internet intellectuals, like way space designer, like, oh, we're so smart about space design, and how does the Corellian Corvette, how is Corellian Engineering's YT series considered a light freighter? They're not freighters. Freighters are big and modular, and I'm like going, like, part of me wants to like lean in, look really close to the camera, and be like, dear sir, have you ever seen a Ford Transit van? Not everything requires a Freightliner. Not everything requires a standardized container ship transport vehicle. Sometimes you need to actually just drive a Ford Transit out to deliver things out to the field from the warehouse. You don't need a big vehicle. Sometimes you need a Penske rental to get to do your work. You don't need the big giant monstrosity. And they're like, but it's a freighter. It's a term that people use. Hell, after all, semi-truck, Freightliner. Is that the Evergreen monster cargo ship? No, but those ships exist in Star Wars. They're the huge giant container vessels, and some of the the fleet resupply vehicles that actually in rules in setting don't slow down. They jump in system and they're still burning, and ships fly up to the cargo ship while because it can't slow down. It's just too big. It's too heavy, and it's just cruising. Just the Honda Civic hatchback in space. It's what it is, and it's just cruising there, and the fleet shows up next to it, and then cargo lifters their shit onto it, and then in short, I know this is an alien concept to most people who haven't fucking seen it done, but unrep in space. You're not slowing down. You're not docking with anything. You're just literally throwing lines to it and calling shit over by shuttlecraft, and then the battle group is resupplied. It breaks off, heads back into deep space, and the cargo ship picks up speed and jumps the fuck back into to its next location, where it's going to resupply or it's going to supply somebody else. It's going to do its job, and watching some people go, what did you just describe? I'm going, the fact that there's a whole lot to the galaxy, and that because of how fast and slow travel is, and I say slow because I don't believe in the sequel series. You can jump across the entire galaxy in minutes type thing. I like the older. It takes weeks and months to cross the galaxy. At that point, you're looking at space as a highway. So your freighters are just simply going out there and doing either priority deliveries or shipping from hubs. But that's what's going into the horrible world of shipping and logistics. I've done that. I do that job in real life, so I can put together the holes and go, well, people are like, but I don't understand how anyone could call this a freighter. I can. And
Yeah.
you know what? I will have and my transit van that I drive all the time, that fucker's been modified. I've got shit bolted to the back of that thing that's definitely not standard. I've got I've got folding pallet jacks and other weird shit. That's eating up cargo space. And by God, if I could mount a quad flat cannon to the top of that bitch, I would. And I would have a lot of but dear God, but watching these internet intellectuals who obviously never worked logistics, never worked shipping, never worked transportation, going, this isn't a freighter. There isn't one big cargo hold, and it's just not designed right. And I'm going, fuck you. You gotta load it through these little elevators, and I go, have you never opened the bay doors on the side of a cargo van before? Have you never opened the back? It's all one bay, yeah, but you got 3 fucking sections you're working out of. I'm sorry, it's a work vehicle. Have you ever delivered out of the back of a pickup truck with a goddamn topper on it? Yeah, you did this fucking shit.
It shouldn't be hard for people to envision. And Crafting Gamer has an invite for you, by the way.
Dude, if you want to discuss ship creation processes and figuring out how everything works from the base, and then you can just from the role and concept, and then work out how the ship will function based on the role, and then working your way out, because you can either go multiple design design mentalities. Oh hell, what? I'm gonna go now. I grabbed some books off the shelf real fast. Oh God, it's so heavy.
Oh no, he's going to his library.
Oh, you better believe I'm going to the library. Ugh. All right. This is the joy of being a member of the Naval Institute Press and ordering way too much shit. This shit right here. If I want to know how to design anything that's fucking out there, and how the Bureau of Ordnance and the Bureau of Ships went through or the Russians designed things, or how the British designed things, the design process from you have been authorized to design a ship to that ship didn't fucking work. That design's trash. Go back and redesign it. To some asshole in the fucking Senate goes, change that. Why? I don't know. We're the Senate. Fuck you. But we locked the design in 3 years ago. Change it. Fuck you. Okay. But we'll change it. And then you're like, all right, I've got a great idea for a ship. It's designed, it's working, it'll be fantastic. And then the president shows up and goes, yeah, I don't like that. I've just spent 6 years working on this thing. It's ready to go. We've already ordered gun barrels. Nah. Fuck that. Ugh. God damn it. And this happens across multiple days. And through study now, I can now say this happens on multiple nations, multiple styles and mentalities. And it's just one of these things where it's just like, holy shit, no nation gets away with this shit. So yeah, I can totally understand how how a massive intergalactic corporation like KDY would just sit back there and go, I love this design. This is perfect. And then some asshole in a black bathrobe shows up and goes, "No, change it." Wait, what? No, this is gonna be perfect. Nah. Just takes the model and stretches it out a little bit and goes, "That sounds better." Oh god. Oh fuck. And then watching the head designer just kind of like walk one night onto a balcony and then blow his own brains out, and because of what you just done to his life. So yeah, I will happily um, go into this, and I love this kind of shit. So yeah, I spent way too much money on those books, by the way, and I've read them multiple times. I love them to death. I need to pick up the nuclear submarine book when it goes on sale this November. But beyond that, I love those books.
Well, and yes, Archie is the most decorated sub in all of U.S. naval history. I was like, what? Is that better than USS Barb? And I mean, this thing's got 9 presidential unit citations, 10 Navy unit commendations, 13 Navy expeditionary medals. And then it went to the scrapyard in 2006, and they kept the sale of it in the Northeast.
And see, the thing about those books is that they don't actually go into the actual service record of any ship. They go like all of those are just the designs, like the design work and refitment and histories that went into them. So you're not going to see the actual battle histories in any of those books. Those go into what the hell what the hell did Ching Li decide to do with some cardboard circles on a blueprint, going, you know what, we could probably fit more AA guns here, and here, and then having the Bureau of Ordnance go, no, that's not how it works with him. Yeah, it does. We can fit more shit on this thing. And the Bureau of Ordnance, God, no, the Bureau of Ships, huh? And then him sneaking in the middle of the night and drawing more circles on blueprints, going, yeah, we can fit more shit on this thing. And yeah, this is things that I fucking love. And so yes, if you want to talk about sci-fi, about crazy ass sci-fi ships and weird ass mentalities, yeah, I'm totally on board with that. Hell, as a shitty side project was the idea of, I think it was for fun, we decided to go, what would if somebody decided to take the Venator from episode 3 and then go with like, what would a major rebuild overhaul look like if they had decided to just scrap them all for the Imperial class, and then sit here and go, okay, this is a weak point that would, and go through a design process and have multiple people look at it, and then it turned out to be this weird looking, interesting ship class, and we kind of went, this would be an interest. It's like kind of going with the midway refitting process where it went through multiple design iterations. Going, could we do this? Could we move this around? And okay, so if this took 4 or 5 years to work out, that meant the Imperial would have been out there, and that we would have gotten, input on how the Imperial and the Victory had their hangar layout. So we could have probably taken that. So maybe somebody would have taken out the totally useless open up the top bay door fighter, dorsal launch bay that runs half the damn ship, and go, maybe that's a weakness, and fix that. And it turned out to be this interesting, sleek little ship that we ended up coming out with and going, yeah, and it would have been canceled. And we're like, yeah, it would have been canceled because KDY doesn't want to have to build three classes at once. And we're like, God damn it. And it was fun because like we know how shit works, and we know how KDY wants to just mass produce a hull. It's like, here's a hull, here's the variants we can build on said hull. But wouldn't you want to have three? And I had one kid go, well, wouldn't you want to have multiple designs? I go, no, standardization of parts. If I only have to produce one drive section, I can now produce a whole lot of that drive section. Economy of scale. Economy of scale. If I build enough of one thing, it don't fucking matter because I can drop the unit price down because I'm building 100 of them rather than 4. And, like, are you trying to like justify the Imperial Star Destroyer? I go, yeah, I could. I'm justifying why we're building 1 mile long death wedges, but they're horribly inefficient. Yes, they are. They're horrible. I wouldn't want one. I would want anything else in the universe but this one thing. And they go, anything? Okay, not anything. But I would take this thing. Why? Because I can go anywhere in the galaxy and find parts for it. For a 1 mile long death wedge, because it's everywhere. Everyone's got one. Everyone's got parts of one. We're going for it. And it's like, you're putting too much logic into it. No, I'm putting the logic of building Liberty ships and massive warships assembly line style, like fucking Fletchers. Like, I would have put so many of these fuckers into the wall. And the thing is that in setting, there's so many, there's several, it's not like a couple hundred built. It's not like a couple thousand built. It's like 25,000 of them were built. Holy shit. 25,000 in canon, old universe. Fucking insane idea of how you're building this ship. Yeah, there's parts of this bitch everywhere. And even after the fall of the Empire, fuck, you're still finding parts of this thing probably 25, 30 years later. I mean, and that's
like
McKinney White.
Like an economy-sized YT 1300.
Yeah. And it's a similar mentality. I'm pretty sure at some point somebody's gonna start modifying this thing. And going off standard production. Once the Empire is no longer around and there's nobody enforcing a standard, dear God, I'm going to guess that maybe in a century or two, this thing's going to still be out there and looking, in 100 variants, and somebody's going to be out there going, yeah, I want one of those. Just modify it like this, and the ship will never leave production. At some point, there's going to be somebody producing OEM parts for this fucker 100 years from now. It's like, yeah, you're just gonna go in. You'll go into Space O'Reilly's and go ask, hey, can I have some OEM off-brand parts for an Imperial 2? Yeah, okay, we got those. Do you want them in deluxe or basic model? A couple extra bucks. Upsell me. Okay, and shit. Yeah, everyone's got all this newer high-tech stuff, but you know what? We got parts for you. It's over there. Yeah. Ford-built Death Stars. Yeah, I would definitely see a Ford-built Death Star.
Recall on the Ford Death Star built earlier this January. Still 92% of the Death Stars have yet to make it back to receive their repairs in transit.
Yeah, did you realize that the Ford brand hyperdrive breaks down after only 10,000 light years? Really? Yeah. Yeah, when you hit 10,000, you gotta start watching for the little shakes in the hyperdrive. Okay. Yeah, you also gotta reach it. At 100,000, you gotta change out the fuel pump, and then it starts making some weird noises. And it's gonna blow some motivators every 30, 40,000 or so. That's just how it works. Oh, what? Yeah, that's just how it fucking works.
I'm so glad that Bethesda never bought Ford, because I would just hate to hear Todd Howard say it just works.
It just works.
It just works.
No, that's
down right there.
That's every car right there. It just fucking works. It does, not really, but every mechanic will yell at you when you pull into the dock, and they're just like,
And I love mechanics, because mechanics can make like cuss words out of anything. They'll just string enough syllables along, and they'll have this bing tang ding Japanese word sounding like word salad, and it looks like Kamala Harris tried getting profanity out.
Oh
You
yeah,
don't make fuck oh shit, motherfucker. Fresh
oh yeah.
ah.
And I love walking into those shops, making a delivery, and have the mechanics looking at me like, "Oh, you brought the part finally." And I'm like, "Well, yeah, but it's we only have one part in the area, and I had to go out to the warehouse and go pick it up and get it to you, but it's here." And they're just like, "Hey, fuck it, yeah, we'll work on it." And they're cursing, they're bitching, and it's like, after spending enough time in garages, motor pools, and other weird ass places working on shit, it's kind of why it's like I look at spacecraft with a little bit different eye than simply magic space band that gets party from one adventure to the next. Because that's how and I've seen a few GMs run it that way, where it's like where all your spaceship, all your boat, all your vehicle is magic transport vehicle that gets you from point A to point B. And once players have taken pile of gold credits or new yen, dumps it, and magic vehicle appears, and every once in a while everyone gets a magic vehicle, and you drive off the next adventure, and then drive back. Occasionally, some bad guys will show up, and you go pew pew, bad guys explode, and meanwhile, it's like me and a few of my friends, whenever we're like, "Is there a vehicle? Yes. Are there modification rules?" And then watching a few GMs who are like, "I'm terrified of this. I'm terrified that you people are looking at me that way and looking and asking questions." And we're like, "Give me modification rules. Give me the ability to change everything on this car, on this spaceship, on this boat. Give me it. I want to modify this airplane. I want to do weird shit." And watching most GMs go, "I don't. This is too much math. This is too much work." And then we're sitting here going, "No, this part's in. We don't need this part. This part can go," and just start bolting shit on and watching the GM just go, "I don't understand what you people are doing." And we're like playing with modification rules, which is the whole reason why I love Star Wars D6, because it had the the stock freighter book.
Yeah, you have the shock freighter math that you can construct your own ships.
Yeah,
Therefore, the game really does take on another mini game of sorts, to where you can actually try to play, like a fleet manager, and try to have a group of ships out there pumping fuel and delivering shit.
Yeah,
and that's a part of Star Wars that not a lot of people wanted to play with. Tramp Freighters came out, and a lot of people just turned it into like pre Firefly.
But it was, dear God, that book. And the thing was we loved that rule, but we ended up, because of the fact that we liked playing Shadowrun third edition, which had custom everything rules, and we were like, well, why can't I go out and tinker with because we grew up on high adventure comics and other weird Pulp Fiction things where the mechanic is sitting here tinkering with his beloved fighter to get that little bit of extra horsepower out of it. And we're like, well, the basic rules are cheap and the fighter is expensive. And then we wrote up our rules for how to custom tinker and custom modify fighter planes, because using the Tramp freighter rules. And then we expanded those, and then allowed for capital ship modification and construction. And thanks to Pirates and Privateers and stock ships and various other books that came out, we slowly cobbled together a primitive ship design rule set that allowed for the bolting on to ships of damn near anything. And we had a lot of fun just modifying, just rat rotting all of our shit together, because we're playing the rebels. We're playing insurgents. None of our parts are standard. None of our parts are from the factory meant to work together.
Nope.
No. We had a dogfight where one of the four engines of the X-wing took a hit, and where are we going to go get a brand new Incom engine out here in the middle of fucking nowhere land? Incom. No, like all of our new standard production, no, we need all those for actual new fighters. But we're repairing one of yours. The next 6 months of production are already assigned. We don't have any spare engines, and we're sitting out here out in the outer rim going, well, shit, where are we getting a new Incom engine? Well, we can cobble together some parts off of this, and this, and suddenly we have a heavily modified fighter that might actually do a little bit better in performance. It's a totally non-factory standard conversion. Yeah, it's using parts off of where we salvaged off of parts off of like 4 separate TIE interceptors, so that way we can get enough sign our ion engines to make it actually work. It looks like shit, but it fucking flies now. And yeah, it don't push it too far past speed 9, or it starts to come apart. But it works, and it added that little like redlining engine. Where you're sitting here going, and because we were all X-Wing and TIE Fighter, the old computer game players, we were totally into power management. The idea that diverting power from shields, putting it into the engines to get a little bit extra oomph to go, in a dogfight, so that way you can just we're losing out on maneuverability for straight lines, straight line flight performance, but it was okay because sometimes you needed to outrun a TIE fighter in an X-Wing. You just needed to. And it was a fun way of bouncing around the rules. And yes, duct tape and WD-40 are fucking amazing things. And when you have people, and when you have creative people who are sitting going, wait, we're doing this with sci-fi? And yeah, it was definitely we're definitely doing Firefly before Firefly was a thing. But we were also Traveler players, so we're used to the idea of doing crazy shit with engineering and weird ass rules. It's what you fucking did, and therefore when I go back and like I'm gonna go play, this is the problem. Like that group of players, I only talk to one of them anymore. One guy is in the area still, and when the two of us are sitting here playing, oh yeah, we're ready, but the GM is never ready for this kind of, like when we hit people up for this level of insanity, and most GMs just look at you like deer in headlights as you're coming at them with, okay, so this is what I want to do to the cruiser to make it do what I want, and have people go, no, just play game. It's an X-Wing, and I'm like, no, even in the board game, even in the X-Wing board game, we have modifications so that way we can improve performance. And no, it's an X-Wing. You fly X-Wing, and I'm like, and it really is that sad moment that most GMs don't want to have that level of crazy or when I play in other things, I remember that there's that people in the past have done crazy shit where it's like the ship is only rated for 28 knots. You can't go faster than that. I go, we're going faster than that. We can't. We're going faster than that. Okay. Well, how long do you need us to go with? It's to use the October moment of go 110 on the reactor and push that bitch as fast as possible. And because sure, for an hour and a half you're doing like 30 knots in this bitch, but you've also melted all the refractory bricks in the boiler. But for an hour you did it, and it was an amazing hour but all of that for just 2 extra knots. For that 2 extra knots, it was very, very important to go that much faster. Oh, okay. And most people don't understand that, but sometimes you might need to break the engine to go a little bit faster for a little bit to do that one thing you needed to do to get to that one place you had to be. And watching most GMs go, I don't understand and I don't know what you're talking about. And I'm just like, all right, all right, all right. Pretend I didn't say anything. I'm just going to sit back here on the magic transport bus and wait for you to tell me that if I can or cannot do anything. Because obviously, trying to do anything that's outside the box, outside safety parameters, outside what OSHA tells me I could actually get away with, and where I will probably I get written up for doing it. I will just sit here and wait for you as a GM. And that's usually my response to most GMs when they go, no. And I'm like, why not? Because, all right, I'm just going to sit here and wait for you to tell me when I'm allowed to have fun again. And then I'm just going to sit quietly. I know I know it's a shitty attitude, but when I like give me something to chew on, something to work with, some gristle to be able to pull and play with. But the moment someone says no and then says hard no, there's no reality says no, then I'm like, all right, then you told me where reality now ends, and I will now wait that there's nothing more I can do to push an advantage to like I don't it's like I know I can limp my way back to a repair ship to a dock later to go pay some crazy pirate repair person to fix my shit later. But for this scene, this scenario, I needed to do this, but obviously no. I'm gonna sit back now and quietly wait. And yeah, you're right. Most GMs are confined by the rules of the game. But the thing is that they, I don't think a lot of them have the depth of research and knowledge on what could be possible. They only know what the rules tell them. To use D6 Star Wars is, well, hell, we're talking about Star Wars, and I love West End games, and I will talk about this game for an eternity. Everyone goes, X-Wing does speed 8. It doesn't go any faster. It will only do speed 8. And you're like, but no, it does speed 8. But what if I do power, dump power off of the shields? Can I get more speed? No. Dump power from weapons? No. Can I set extra shield strength to the rear? What they did in fucking A New Hope? No. Because the rules told you no. And I'm like, bullshit. You know it. I know it. We could. No. Why? Because. All right. Now I know how you're going to play this. Excuse me. I'm going to go now play this very by the book. And I guess I don't want to say I cheat, but I sure the fuck push the rules to this limit to make it a bit more visceral, a bit more interesting. I want to play like if I'm playing Battle of Britain in space, Star Wars dogfighting. Yeah, I'm gonna push that airframe to the point where it's gonna start cracking. I want to know that does this thing actually have a problem turning left because the engines are unbalanced wrong. I want to know there's a mechanic who's cursing me because because of the shit I'm doing to this poor frame. Who's sitting here going, God, I gotta take out all 12 servos that make the S foils fucking work. God damn it! Could you not break the plane? No, I have to. I'm a pilot. I have to break this plane every single fucking time. And just watch the ground crew going, oh fuck. We got at least another, okay, guys, we got another 100 man hours. Let's get 5 people on this shit so that way we get done. I'm done in 2 days. I want that level of, but mind you, I'm usually the guy who's playing the ground crew, the tech who's sitting here going, oh fuck, as I watch a player, bring back the wreck of an X-wing or an A-wing back, and it lands. And then shit falls off of it, and I'm like, oh my god, I gotta fix this, don't I? Yup. All right. Excuse me, I'm gonna go over here and steal parts off of somebody else's ship for a while. Whose ship you steal off of? Not ours. See ya. And then walk off screen, and then go. I go play. if it ain't bolted down and it doesn't have my unit marking on it, I'm stealing it. Yes, Chuck Yeager your way through a scene. That would be a good way of putting it. But I don't know. I guess because I played Star Wars in this mentality, in the Rogue Squadron, like Rogue Squadron, pirates and privateers, commandos blowing up and stealing shit, the idea of landing somewhere in some Imperial base and stealing everything that's not nailed down and then running away with it as fast as humanly possible, and going and then having a GM go, no, we're playing Star Wars. It's all about the Force and Jedi and laser swords and the Empire. And we're like, no. It's about literally making sure that we have an ice cream maker. And the GM looking at, wait, what? Yeah, we want an ice cream maker on our space freighter. That's what we want.
They had an ice cream maker in Bethpin.
Yeah, I know, and we want one because we don't have one on our ship. And by God, we want some ice cream on our damn ship. And then the GM looking at us like, I don't understand. We're playing in a space, and like, no, we are in a horrible hobo. We are in a space RV that's covered in guns, and we cobbled together some stolen shield generators and some armor plate on this thing, and we've souped the engine up way past design specs. Hell, we tore out the original V4 little 4-banger engine. We threw a V8 in this fucker, so it hauls. And then we fix the suspension, fix the turning. It's not the Falcon. You can't recreate the Falcon. Sorry, the rules don't allow it. But you know what? Fuck you. Our ship actually does what we want it to do, and we got a screaming little Jawa, Jawa in a gun turret, screaming like a maniac, shooting everything. We're good. And like, who the fuck's flying it? A gambler and a shark who punches people. Okay. This is a weird ass crew. Like, yeah, but it's what we do. And then one day, sitting down and just converting a Corellian HT, I think it's 2400. It's a big medium hauler, and turning it into a 6-fighter carrier, and figuring out how to fit the fighters in the bay. Almost using it like I had to explain it to the GM in that game as I'm using the Starfleet Battles not PT boat, PF tender concept, where we're docking them kind of semi-externally into the hull. So 4 of them dock semi-externally, and then 2 dock internally for maintenance. So that way we can work on them and then rotate them out to the external docks. So when we do, we jump in, he's like, and then GM's like, did you literally just design a PF tender for Star Wars? And I'm like, yeah, entirely within the rules. We have a PF tender, and he's like, we're not playing Starfleet Battles in the Star Wars universe. I go, but I want to bring 6 X-Wings into a battle off a freighter. And he's like, oh my, okay. And, like I said, I had tolerant, flexible GMs who liked the idea of what we did. And then for fun, I got sitting somewhere the design documents for a generic space fighter that goes from its initial version up through like its Mark 6 version, which is the late 40 years down the line production variant, and it follows an actual interesting why each variant, each modification, each new engine upgrade was done and made it actually fit into the universe in a logical way, rather than just simply going out of nowhere, a new fighter design comes out of nowhere and it's just instantly better than everyone else. Because I like the I like evolution rather than revolution. So it was an interesting way of doing it. I had one GM, and the GM who looked at me goes, you just wrote this entire thing up for no reason, and I'm like, yeah, but it was a thought exercise, so that way when it comes time for me to as a GM as a GM for myself or as a player to justify why certain things happen in the order that they happen in, and he's like, oh, okay, and yes. Gotta find yes, gotta find that case of grape soda. You really do. Ah, but I guess it really does come down to I played Star Wars in a whole way that was not Star Wars,
Well,
but I
it works
loved it.
better. I mean, if you're going to play quote unquote in the Star Wars universe, if you're borrowing from history and peppering your campaign with narrative, with background information from the entire EU novel series, which is far superior to anything that Disney made,
Right,
if you're using that, it works good. But a lot of people don't really want to be in the same universe as Luke and Han and Lando. They want to kind of have their own thing. They want to be the stars of their story.
right.
And we learned that the more we moved out towards like the outer rim or the quiet places where like things didn't get talked about in comics and novels and all that, the happier my players were at the table. So yeah, I used like the background information from this Dark Strider campaign and
Oh,
uh, the
that's a
Dark
good
Sector.
set.
I use that info as like background info, but I never made that like a focal point for game. I we had our own planets. They had planets books, which
Yeah,
had really crappy drawings of planets with the topography, but you had some interesting ideas for places to go. And then my favorite book was kind of like a outer rim tour, and like there's a space station way out nowhere in the middle of nowhere, and there's things going on there. Like if you read the EULA to dock there, if you keep your ship docked there longer than 30 days, they just impound it and then they keep it.
that would be Starforge State. Yeah, I know exactly the station. I know exactly the book. That station is amazing, and it moves
Yes.
because
and, and
to
then
stay
that
ahead.
space station also has uh, a local shock boxing tournament which has gone big, and there's
Yeah,
shock boxers and real pugilists there with like actual stats that could rival the film's characters, which is cool. So like you have actual NPCs that are like ready for your game. And then you
yeah,
have the whacked out leader of the Imperials that's there, and he's a little bit woo, but the Imperials put him way out in the middle of nowhere where he can hurt nobody, and he's kind of got these people on his team, and they're a bunch of Gomer fucking piles. They are whack, and he's like, "We're all part of the same crew." But if you wish to decorate your Imperial Star, if you decorate your Imperial Stormtrooper armor your own way. You may decorate it so, but it must look like we all are part of the same team. You can be different. You can have patches that are different from your coworkers, but it's still the same stormtrooper armor. It can be tinted up, it can be augmented, but we're still part of the same team. You under fucking stand me. And they're like,
yep.
sure, yes, sir. And it's
Oh,
one of the coolest places to run a mini campaign just with those three plot hooks there. And if you're a good GM, a good storyteller, you start running a game and that will blossom into about 10 to 15 to 30 plot hooks off of various NPCs and interactions that you have. Star Wars is a great system and IP, don't get me wrong. Tiny D6 looks like it might be a good game to play in the future just because who doesn't love running a game that's familiar, but damn it, we're not worried about what Han and Leia and Luke are doing because Disney's fucking that up. We've got the outer rim over here, and that's our jewel to fuck with. and I really like that. And a lot of people that are into quote unquote Star Wars, the Disney Star Wars, they're not into RPGs. They're really not into like the extended
Oh,
universe. They're not into the things that made the franchise before Disney bought it for $4 billion and dropped the value down to less than $250,000. Have you seen
yeah.
Ahsoka?
No, I haven't. I'm
I've
honestly
been
waiting for
watching
it to come out.
reaction videos.
Yeah, but
This week, the the videos I've been watching the most are reaction videos to Ahsoka, which is heartbreaking because there's a lot of people I know that still believe that Star Wars is going to come back like it was in the '80s, and
no.
I I'm not gifted with that little humanity to tell them what you love is dead. I'm not going to say that to them. And then
The
the other
version.
thing is the Fires of Rubicon looks really good. Armored
I haven't heard
Corsair.
that one. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Everyone's been talking about that one, and I haven't got around to playing it yet. So, but I think because we ran two different Star Wars campaigns that were totally bonkers. My my favorite was the one where the campaign rules were simple. You all had to be pirates. Your background was something that had to be pirate related, and we all started out being press gang. Sorry, we were all captured individually by the Curling Defense Force, and then press ganged into being the crew of a system patrol ship. You know, the no hyperdrive. It could burn at a decent speed across a system, and we were press ganged into the security service. And we were told this is how you're going to pay back your crimes to Corellia is spending the next 6 years of your life in the Coast Guard. And we were like, bullshit. It was a fun way of getting the party together. A whole disparate group of crazy engineers, pilots, crew, gunners put onto in essence a Coast Guard cutter and told you can't go anywhere. And then the GM just laughing at us, thinking that he's got us, and we're like, okay. And worse, it was modified so that way it only had ion cannons. We didn't have any laser cannons on the thing, so we couldn't hurt anybody. All
Only
we
had
could do.
ion cannons. What terrible tragedy that is.
Oh no! You told pirates they could only ionize things, and and yeah, we ended up like running down a bunch of smugglers in Y wings, in pirate Y wings, and then neutralized them, beat the crud out of the pilots, and then tied them onto a lifeboat and just fired them in system, and then proceeded to steal all the hyperdrives out of the Y wings, cobbled together this horrible monstrosity that shouldn't work for a capital ship, glued it in, and we're stealing it. We are going to steal the cutter, and we're going to leave. And the GM is like, "You're doing what? We're pirates, and you gave us a Coast Guard cutter. What do you think we're going to do?" Well, we will either die in hyperspace or we are going to make it somewhere else. And we almost died in hyperspace because it was the world's slowest hyperdrive, and we didn't know how slow it was going to be because the GM hid the result of our repairs, so we had no idea how slow it was going to be. But we're like, we've got 6 months, we got 4 months of supplies. We're going to, and hit the jump button, and then he jump cuts us to 4 months later. Oh God, we're going to die out here, aren't we? We're going to die out here, and limping into the next system, and then buying an actual real hyperdrive for the ship on loan from some smugglers who now had us going, oh fuck, now we're in debt for several million credits because we did this. But the campaign was now we stole a Coast Guard cutter and now we owe the mob. And it was a whole fun campaign of just being like, and the GM trying so desperately to make us part of the plot line, and us fighting tooth and nail to go, no, we are independents. We are the Firefly crew, pretty much. And just
Um, I
oh,
just I just saw that Night Dive Studios is planning on releasing Turok 3, a
ooh,
remaster of that, and then a remaster of Dark Forces from 1995.
ooh, those will be fun.
Night Dive just released Quake 2 and about 3 weeks ago, and I'm in love with Night Dive Studios. Like they've redone a lot of games that I really wanted to play or have played, and at the time I just didn't have the time for them. But I made time for Quake, and I made time for Quake 2, and I really love both remasters. They're redoing fucking Dark Forces. That means that the extended universe is back, baby.
Hey, as long if I've learned anything from watching Topps murder BattleTech and then having it crawl itself back from the dead and come back to being a vibrant pop property, anything can come back from the dead as long as people are dedicated to holding on to what was the better version of it and rather than and rejecting long enough. It's like if you can just hold on long enough, things will eventually come around. Because if I walked away from BattleTech, I would never have got to see what its new renaissance, where it went back to going, no, we're actually good. We're actually pushing the storyline again. We're actually pushing things, and people are like, I don't 100% agree. Good. Nobody should 100% agree with what's going on here because it's a setting full of unreliable narrators and horrible points of view, and it's all about blowing the shit out of people. It's about conflict and strife, and nobody's happy, and everybody's murdering everybody. Fuck yes. So you know what? As people find the things that they still hold on to, they still like. If Dark Forces can come back and go, hey, look, remember how it used to be? Remember what it was like? Because after all, we got the shitty sequel trilogy, and then they introduced Dark Troopers. Oh wait, that sounds familiar. The TIE Defender showed back up. Hey, look, that sounds familiar. Thrawn's back. Hey, look, that sounds familiar. I mean, we see the Chimera out there. So it's like slowly but surely, shit will. If there's enough people who will hold on, clinging to what was good, and resist all of the changes that keep coming back, things will come back around. It may not be 100%. It may not be perfect. After all, BattleTech still has to deal with the fact that it can't. It's now saddled with the jihad, and with the actual blackout and the fortress falling, and all the weird shit of the Republic. We all have to deal with the fact that that's now part of the story. We can't say that didn't happen, but we can sure move past it and pretend that didn't happen. Well, it happened, but we don't have to acknowledge it. And it's like, look at me, brother. No, I refuse. I'm right here. No, brother, you're not. I will move on without you and leave you in the rearview mirror. And so I guess the fact that I hold on to West End game Star Wars so hard, it's my rejection of I don't like Fantasy Flight Star Wars. I didn't like watching Star Wars. I don't like Lucas. I don't like Disney Star Wars. But you know what? I can still cling to Dark Empire is still one of my favorite comic books. Dark Empire 1, not Dark Empire 2 or Empire's End. Those two comic books sucked. I can ignore those because I like World Devastators. That's just me. And yeah, they are marketing to my nostalgia for nefarious purposes. But you know what? I'm a human. I fall for propaganda, and I'll just play the games that I'm enjoying. And if the games leave without me, I still have my books. I can still role play. I can still go. You're still you're off in the California nebula, out You're out past the Shoney's Nebula where weird shit happens out in the Outer Rim. It's hidden away. The rest of the galaxy just kind of looks that way and goes, we don't know what's past there, and that's where stupid shit happens, aka where players are out there having, driving a Coast Guard cutter out in space because fuck you, we want your cocaine, and we're gonna jump on the back of your freighter and steal it, and then drive off into space, laughing maniacally as we're all high as as we're all high as fuck on spice, thinking we're all Rift's juicers and going off to our next plundering target, and the GM just crying to himself over the fact that we're a band of whack jobs and pirates, and every once in a while walking up and letting our bouncer punch somebody because we're in port. Fuck you. We're punching somebody and then we're leaving. No explanation.
Yeah, their marketing art nostalgia for nefarious purposes, but I'm happy that they're making games that are worthy of playing. And that's the thing. For the longest time, we didn't have. We were in a drought. People didn't realize it. We were really in a gaming drought, and I'm not into modern warfare. I'm not into Call of Duty, and I like the fact that I can look and there's other people that think like me, and thank God they do because they made a game that was released 25 years ago just as fun as what it was back in the day. Six Nations, 31 Kings. Yeah, webcomic would be fun, be badass. I wish I had the time for that. I wish I had the time to learn Blender.
I wish I knew how to draw digitally. I don't. Oh, I don't know. There's a lot of just weird things. I think that's why I have like 4 games that are perennials that I go back to for. I've been playing for a solid 7, 8, 12 years in some cases now, and I'll just put them up.
What are you still playing? What's the game that like if you're gonna burn a day and a half on the internet playing a game, what's that game that you go to and
okay,
you'll lose a day?
Okay, first off, if Minecraft's almost perpetually always running. That's been 10, 12 years now. I will play Sins of a Solar Empire just religiously. I'll boot up a large galaxy with maximum everything, and then play the grinding war effort across the galaxy for hours, days on end. And Stellaris now is 8 years old. No, 7 years old now. And let's see here. How much Stellaris have I actually played? It's all modded, so therefore, good solid 6,000 hours in that game. I mean, because I turn on 1,000 star systems and I play. And I purposely try to run my empires to the point where I conquer 3/4 of the galaxy, then purposely trigger a civil war so that way I fight my own empire. So that way I can make the game last longer. Because the only
when I used to play Galactic Imperium.
Yeah. Good game. I love that game.
Part 3 was funny because like you could be doing pretty well and you'd have like a group of basically peaceniks starting to foster on one of your core worlds, and next thing you know, the peaceniks are in revolt. So like all the ships orbiting your planet that just had like an uprising focus their fire on your major cities, and you completely just wax. You don't do a lot of collateral damage, but you kill the intended targets, and then the next turn, like everybody else is super happy. Like, oh my God, he just killed his own people. Oh my God, we're happy citizens. Happy citizens.
It's like other games that I've played, rather religiously, and I wish it's like Hearts of Iron has at least a good four is a good solid 2,000 hours on it now.
I used to
Um,
play, what, not Hearts of Iron. What was the
oh,
Panzer General?
Enter General, I
Yeah.
won two. Yeah, I played two, so I two and General is my favorite one because it was killing Chinese. It's also the
nothing
best
makes
soundtrack.
nothing makes you happier than killing somebody that's just completely insincere and has only the thought of stealing all of your tech.
Yeah. Oh,
I agree.
and the game that I have been playing since its beta release, and that is Factorio
You and Max
religiously.
both.
Oh, Max also plays it too.
Yeah, Max Leal is a big Factorio and Satisfactory player.
I'm a Factorio player. According to Steam, I have 11,000 hours on it.
What? Wait, I need you to recite that hours again.
11,000.
Okay.
What?
How old
Because
is that game?
about a solid decade. Now, what I would do is I would have Factorio running in the background of whatever the fuck I'm doing, and then periodically, if I'm reaching a point where the factory is confusing me, or when I'm looking at spaghetti that's now way too complex, I would stop, pause the game, go do something else, think about something else, then come back, look at the entire map again, go, okay, this is how I'm going to optimize my factory, re-optimize the factory, and then come, So I'm not seriously playing it the entire time, but it's in the background running for like an entire solid month. You know, where I where I'm playing it piece by piece, running certain things, going this mod needs changing. This new power plant needs a little bit of rework. I get some more optimization out of the nuclear power plant if I redo the heat pipes like this. And it's like there's a certain point where all I'm doing is just trying to come out with a newer, stupider way of making the factory bigger and bigger and bigger. So if you want me to waste days of my life, I will also play like Dyson Sphere. I program as a solid 1,200 hours. Um, yeah, I play a lot of games that are just like I turn them on and then they're puzzles. I had one person refer to it as those games like that are like my Sudoku game. Like everybody was like, I play Sudoku and do crossword puzzles. I go, no, I create the world's worst confusing empire or factory, then stop and go, what the fuck was I thinking last week? And then rebuild the whole damn thing from scratch. Unleash my cloud of drones upon like the Borg and just erase vast tracts of land so I can go rebuild the whole thing in a whole better version of itself and re-optimize. I mean, I don't play it's crazy games. Yeah, it's only four. You're right. It's only a solid year and some change. And yes, Panzer General did rock. I love that game, and there's a newer spiritual descendant of the game, which I think is oh fuck, what game is it? I don't know. I didn't play it as much because honestly, they introduced this thing called balance to the game, and yeah, Panzer Corps and Panzer Corps 2, which are just Panzer Generals, descendants, but written by people who aren't actually crap at programming and know what history is. So it isn't just simply fire three artillery units at a unit, then run it over with tanks to shock. And they actually put balance and rules and strategy into the game. And how the fuck do you play a game that's actually fair? I mean, I'm not looking to have fair. I don't want fair. I'm I'm here to watch big numbers explode on screens. I actually do want to play it fair. And Panzer Corps was fun, and I enjoyed it immensely. I mean, it's only got a solid 90 hours on the damn game, so I did actually play the game. But no, I mean, I play a lot of weird games, or I'll load up Planetary Annihilation or various other God, Command and Conquer. Like if it's an RTS, I'm gonna play it into the ground. Right? Hell, I just reinstalled from Artifact, from Ancient Discs, just so I can play a good round of Warhammer 40k and Dawn of War. All of them, because I kind of wanted to play. I kind of wanted to hear For the Emperor and go running around a planet as as Space Marines for a while, because that's what I wanted to play today. Or I'll load up Command and Conquer type. Not Tiberian Dawn, not Dawn, not Sun, because you can't find Sun. They will never reproduce Sun for some strange reason. Command and Conquer 2 is just, I don't know why they won't produce that one again. But Command and Conquer 3 and then Command and Conquer 3 Kane's Wrath, I will play those, even though I've beaten them 3 Ways to Tuesday. I'll play those because I'm not a big fan of Red Alert. I'm sorry. I don't need George Takei and his giant Japanese transforming battle mechs in my Command and Conquer game. That defeats the point of Kane. And Kane's the only thing I care. And the Brotherhood of Nod's the only thing I give a shit about. I don't give a shit about Soviets, Japan, or NATO/discount GDI, who uses teleporting Tesla time travel tanks. And I'm like, this isn't Command and Conquer, guys. This is something far, far retarded. And the Soviet vehicles got, like, I don't mind Command and Conquer 1. That was a good game. Like, that one was actually like, okay, I can see the Soviet Mammoth tanks being pretty cool, and the V2 launcher, which was pretty cool, and and GDI actually felt like I had a chance. And then Red Alert 2 was big giant dirigibles dropping bombs, and I'm like, but you had the MiGs the previous game. I mean, what happened to my MiGs? No, it's all now battleships that fire giant missiles, and I'm like going, okay, this is dumb, and they look retarded, and this just doesn't feel good. I don't like this. And then 3 gave us whatever the fuck 3 was.
I never played anything past Red Alert Part 1.
Honestly, Tiberian Dawn is just a good game. Like that was a good. It was the start of it. It was a nice game. It was a good evolution from playing Dune 2. I played CNC and CNC Red Alert like a lot. Like that was those 2 games were like the LAN party games back when we still had LAN parties, and then 2 was great because that introduced the first idea of destroyable terrain into, like, I don't know why this concept disappeared from the game. Like if you shot an area long enough, it deformed the terrain and made it like impossible for units to fight uphill. So if you're trying to go uphill, you slow down. So going down fast, up slow, and Nod had artillery that could arc shots up and over into a hill, and enough of these guns in a big enough battery, firing in battery, could literally surround your base in this massive valley trench network that you just carved out of the landscape. And now you watch this ultra slow Mammoth 2 Walker of Death that could just destroy everything slowly come at you, but then almost like AT-ATs fall down the fucking hillside and then never make it back up before it's killed. And it was such a good game. And then 3 was, it finally made every faction, like the 2 factions, feel like logical progressions have actually happened, and they're now on 2 divergent evolutionary tracks that were aiming, that felt just good. Like Nod felt sufficiently different from GDI. And then Generals, which is a whole spin-off game that nobody fucking played, but I loved to death, was cool because, again, Americans were just fucking top-notch badasses, and it was fun. And it was fun killing all the goddamn terrorists. And then the Chinese, who were just like, we are dumb. We have dumb big things and flamethrowers. Blow the fuck out of them. And it was just a good game. Oh, God. And yeah, I can play those games into the ground, but I'm just going to ignore that Command and Conquer Red Alert ever existed.
I think you'd laugh about this. Yeah, when I grow up, I'm going to report memes.
Unplug. I have no son. God, I have no son. I'm sorry. If you report memes, no. God, I gotta
spotted on the Beltway in Maryland.
You're not helping anybody,
and you look dumb as shit.
Yes. I could.
Jason, I put a link there to my Discord. It's a small app we use to keep in touch and hang out. Go ahead if you want to be in touch with me more often. I'm in there about daily, and talk and shit, and actually like have a phone call or something.
Yeah.
I haven't talked to him forever. He used to be playing in our game out of Washington, and he was there for the TPK in Tullis.
Nice.
Here's an interesting evolution.
Wow. He grew hair.
I know. And became a senator in Texas.
Oh, that hurts. You know, at one point I would have said that Boba Fett deserves his own movie, and then they gave us the series for Boba Fett. That is some humor right there.
At least he's got a good sense of humor.
Yes. But unfortunately they released Book of Boba Fett, and no, I don't ever want to see any more of that guy. In fact, I lost all interest in watching anything Mando related after Book of Boba Fett. I can't do it. It's no longer worth my time. Nope. The fact that I had to watch a gang of hover moped riders terrorize a town. Behold our combat Vespas. And they're not even cool Vespas with recoilless rifles. They just got extra lights and mirrors on them. Woo! And they were a viable plot point and show up multiple times. I couldn't take it seriously. But then again, I also hate the fact that the universe revolves around that one dirt rock in the universe.
Lady, I do not know what you're talking about. The FDA ruling on the horse pace, but I know the dogs in heaven are fleeing in terror as Bob Barker arrives.
Hey, he kept it under $1, so he wins the show. He gets to go to the showcase showdown in the sky. but he didn't win the bonus money for actually hitting 100. Oh well.
I like I like this one here too. Well, this will be the last one I share before I go back to painting. You have the United States as the evil bad guy. Then you have vigilante hero come in. You bombed my country. Who are you?
You
You
have
bombed.
no idea how little that there
I
is
have
now.
the slightest idea which one you're from or who you are. I don't know
That's
you.
my I've had like you're a horrible person. You've done terrible things. Like I almost my response there would actually be almost the Street Fighter quote of for the day I bombed your village was the most important day in your entire life. For me, it was Tuesday. And yeah, you can't narrow it down. I mean, oh hell, as a GM, fuck yeah, we do terrible things. We run terrible games. Oh yeah, I agree. Clone Wars did a terrible job. I would on the Mandos, but
Didn't they make
uh,
a video game or re-release the Clone Republic Commando? Did they redo that?
I don't know. I don't know because a certain point where I kind of after Disney bought it, I kind of stopped paying attention to the video games entirely because EA produced them, and I've learned that EA games are all trash. I mean, they're all pretty much Call of Duty modern, Call of Duty clones where you run around as like they're not battle like they're not Battlefield, Star Wars Battlefield games where you're like, hey, this is cool. This is actually like it feels like a battle. No, it's just a bunch of people running around with on squad maps on these little maps that EA put out, and you go pew pew until somebody gets to or earns enough hero points to be able to go play as a named character for a little bit. They're like, oh yeah, named character time, yee! Until you gun down Darth Vader somehow, and it goes back to respawn as a pleb, and you go pleb shooting, yay! Until somebody can go, play Luke Skywalker again, and then you got him down. And then for some reason on Hawk, the Emperor is now bouncing around. You're like, what the fuck game am I playing? What the fuck is this? What the fuck is that? What the fuck are you? And oh yeah, and then EA kills the servers.
Yeah, that right there is the one of the big death knells of it.
Yeah,
Carl was playing with us. Kai knows Carl, I believe.
yeah,
And he's playing a little magician fairy type, and they were in Tolus. They found a bunch of Slod, and the Slod were magic users as well. Caused an entire TPK of pretty powerful characters around 8th or 9th level. And Carl got staggered. He could just kind of bumblebee fly away a little bit. One of the Slad came up and just ate him, and that was it. And then the rest of the party got just destroyed. Jason's most iconic phrase was after the die was rolled to hit, "All right, Bruce, what's your butcher's bill?" And that would be after every time you'd see a critical hit go across the table from me. It's like, God damn it. It's like, all right, fine. What's the butcher's bill?
oh, I gotta murder you somehow. How do I make it? How do I make it feel good? Like, how
Wait,
do I make this miserable on you?
I don't. Nicki Minaj has her own display skins for Call of Duty. I don't believe she's a veteran. I don't even believe she's not a gun tuber. No, no. I don't know how she got that. Then you have TIE Fighter. You could order around Vader like a noob wingman.
Only in that one mission, because there's that one mission where the Emperor gets kidnapped during the betrayal over Coruscant, and And so by now you're an ace pilot flying one of the most amazing fighters in the universe, and of course, the only person who's in the area who can launch to be wingman for you is Vader, and that's one of the most that is a single most coolest mission you're going to ever run because one, you're fighting Imperials, which is just a nice change of pace at that point, and it's just an amazing. That mission was an amazing mission, and God, it was such a good. It was so much fun, and most of the time it's like when Vader launches and you hear that, you just let him go out and do his own thing. I mean, sure, you can tell him to go out and hey, boss, I need you to go out there and kill everybody in that direction because I'm going to be over here. And he was like, that's the most you like. You don't push one of the most best TIE fighter pilots out in existence to go out and But then again, by that point, you're one of the best TIE fighter pilots in existence too. So yeah, he's flying his advanced. You're flying your defender. Yeah, okay. Yeah, this is a good fight. You versus the galaxy is a good fight at this point. And yeah, I love that scenario. Now, I'm glad for the rest of the game it doesn't go. And from this point forward, Vader is now your best friend, and he's gonna follow you around. Oh fuck no, he's got his own. He's off doing his own bullshit. And yeah, I can live with that. I don't know. Maybe it's just I think because I overanalyzed that game for way too long that it's been a long time since I played it, so I might get some details wrong. But yeah, it's been a very long time since I've been able to play TIE Fighter because I tried rebooting it one day and going, "Oh, I know how to play this game. I'll be able to fly." And oh fuck, no, I don't know how to do this game no more. Uh, oh, how do I use my keyboard? Um, uh, I don't have my overlay sheets anymore for it. Fuck. Game hard, game complex, 4,000 buttons. Crap. Yes. Yes, the Emperor's Hand is definitely worth earning because you got to do all the side missions, and it's so worth it. And yeah, because and when the X-wing, when the Star Wars Armada game was put out, the miniature game, we actually went out and found somebody who had cut the custom modified Nebulon B frigate with the forward V switcher on it, and we were like, yeah, we're buying that one because no, we need to have it. And a couple of the kids were like, I have no idea why you two are so happy that you have that Nebulon B frigate out there. Like, trust me, it means a lot to us. Okay, we're old. That shit means a lot to us. And yeah, I don't know. We were sentimental. That's all. Ah, yeah. I still have it on CD, but I don't have. But I don't know where the CDs are and the floppy disks. Good luck finding a drive. Still, that's the hard part. And yes, the souped up a souped up gunboat is definitely better than a defender. I don't care. This I love the Series X1. And the missile boat is fucking jank as fuck. I don't like it. Yeah, it's got the slam drive, and yeah, it's got more missiles than you'll ever need to fire. But man, it just felt cheesy. But the assault gunboat was just so much fun. So much fun. Ah, I need to get back to flight sims. I need to buy a flight stick. No, because
I remember that. Jason Coburn, I still play like 3.5 Pathfinder. Right now, we're kind of gearing up. I'm trying to get things written out for a September release on the beta for my system that I'm building myself. It's going to have a lot of things borrowed from other systems, and I think it fits together better. One of the reasons why we have this every other weekend soiree with Kai is he talks gameology sometimes, and so we will discuss game theory and how things fit together. Thursday nights we have a thing called table breakers where you have six GMs on one table together, and we discuss various ideas we have for our games and such. And occasionally we run games for each other. The last one I ran for these guys, it was a beta test of that. First time it's seen light of day, and I didn't, despite not having a hard copy of rules available for them, I was able to answer any and all questions and get them where they needed to be at to fire spells off and do things.
We we did pretty good with it. Right now, I'm trying to clutch together some rules. I'm trying to make because I want to automate some of the bullshit that I do deal with it with as a GM and have it be because I have a distinct hatred for Mother May I, which is the whole, hey, um, can I do this? And I'm like, and I don't want to just have it arbitrary in my head. I just randomly pick out a number and go roll dice, and if you can roll over a 10, because honestly, because when you're playing any game, all it comes down to is are you making a in your head? You might as well just go. You have a 50-50 chance. Did you roll an 11 or higher? Yeah. Okay. Congratulations, you succeeded. I've been kind of wanting to automate that. Take less of that out of there and put more of a you fill out you work out all the parts of the equation, and then where it's starting to look like it's starting to resemble the Drake equation, but I want to create a way of making to automate like imperial an intelligence department, because Bruce is right now running Kingmaker, and if they were to have a spy department, I mean, most players don't know how to use or even work with. I work with the idea of what an intelligence department does. I want a spy department would do. You just simply go, oh, the spies go out and do things. And I'm like going, no, the Harpers do a whole lot more than just simply be annoying. I mean, they're an intelligence network. I mean, every game is like, and then the spy, the king's head spy shows up and provides news from the frontier. How did he get the news? How is he working this? What assets does the intelligence department bring? I mean, are you looking at like five guys who meet in a tavern one day and compare notes, or do they have magical observation? Do they have organic essence in the ground? Do they have ways of communicating? Are there spies? Drop locations? How are they recruiting people? How big is the organization? What's the organization's mandates, its scope of operations? How big of a dragnet over an area can it get? How fast can it process the information? Does it have internal rivalries? Or is there multiple branches that kind of overlap and hate each other? AKA, if you want to create that NKVD versus the KGB problem of they're both kind of overlapping. So if you want to also look at it, as the is the Gestapo also fighting? I fighting the intelligence department, or Star Wars is the in Star Wars you have the ISB versus Imperial Intelligence, which also has the problem of also dealing with the Ubictorate dealing in there, or do you have the problem of the U.S. problem of NSA, FBI, the alphabet agencies all fighting each other over who the fuck's doing what today? And it's like, well, I'm from alphabet agency number 4 and having problems there because there's a certain, or do you just put it into one monolithic organization where now nobody understands what's going on here because it's just such a vast, horrible so it makes problems. So what I'm trying to do is create a system that there is no obvious true answer. Like there's no one answer. You can't just go, well, I fund everything. There is not infinite funding. You cannot cover everything. Well, because like what I want to have is having moments where if you've ever read like Red Storm Rising, the moment of that's a lot of photons. The ignition of the fire at the oil plant, at the Siberian oil fields that starts the entire problem, and nobody understands just the scale of what just went wrong, and but because everyone's working off of small fragments of information that's coming in. Nobody has a full because you can't have a full view, and so you're trying to sit here and get the best information you can. So it's like one of those where somebody who goes, "Let me run some." Like I know a guy who's in a department over here, and then like, and you got to. I remember even in that book, which is like, sorry, my favorite part of that book is literally the first part is up to the start of the war. I hate like once the war starts, I can just stop reading the book. But that first section, that first third of the book, where you have details like there are no car batteries anywhere in Russia. What the hell? Why would there be? It would be like if you're playing a D&D game, it's like, why is there suddenly X resource no longer available for anyone to purchase? Like, why are certain reagents going missing? Why is there a map? Like, why is the neighboring country now starting to require all iron production be diverted to something else? And suddenly you're now starting to go, okay, something's up. And let hints of information drop, and let the scope go out there, and I also kind of want to cover bureaucratic slowdown where it's like, sorry, information just takes time to process, and it may not come to you to the players in the speed that it needs to happen in, because you're never going to get what you need as fast as you need it when you need it immediately. And so I'm trying to like cover all of this info, write up things so that way I cover all of these little details, facts, and problems. And where I kind of want players to go, if they want to get into the weeds, cool, let them get into the weeds. If they want to be the Toland or the Jack Ryan of the universe, they want to be the awesome agent who puts everything together and figures out the plot ahead of time. Just so that way you can buy like, oh shit, I've now put it together. Oh wait, they're starting to shoot generals. Why are they shooting generals? It's like why are they shooting mid-rank officers? They wouldn't do, and then you start making logical little conclusions, like things where players would normally just be able to go, I don't know what to do. Do I roll knowledge local? Do I roll knowledge nobility? And I'm like, no, there's a whole lot that you could be. It's like this is where having a good grasp of what the culture and what things are. So therefore, if you go, oh hell, the country just is putting out a remastered version of all of so and so's movies, and it's leading up to this one thing. It's like, oh shit, the music and all that, like, and have someone go, oh fuck, I now understand the cultural detail going on here. These are all things that we tend not to do very well as GMs because we're just too focused on we're all dungeoneering, and nobody really has enough common sense to sit back because we don't give people downtime, don't give people chances to sit back and process information because the speed is so quick. To go back to when we first started the entire today's stream on, it's time limit. The game is so granular. All of our games are so granularly focused on seconds, minutes, that we don't think of days, weeks, months of time, because nothing happens quick. Like when you think as players, we're so used to we drop of the hat, we can go anywhere, anytime. We've got everything we need. If somebody comes crashing into the door saying we need 6 people and we need an elite shock team of 6 people who can drop right now into any situation and take care of a problem, player characters. They're they're ready to go right now. But the thing is that we're we're part of worlds where things don't move that quick, where communication delays are definitely a problem. Even especially if we're dealing in fantasy, where we don't have stopwatch timetable mobilization charts. We don't have the industrialization, the modern age industrialization ability to go, okay, I know that if I order a mobilization to go on here, I can have everything up here and I can have it moved to this place in a month. No, we're depending on messengers, horseback, spells occasionally to go up there and call up the militia, call up the reserves, call up anybody, and then gather them all together. And maybe in like a few days, we'll have, the call of the Rohirrim, for I had to go to Gondor's aid. That was a miracle. That was a miracle. Like, more are still showing up. We don't got time. Got to go now. What we got, and it's one of those things where if you had even a few days warning, able to put like it takes time. Even the evil empire of bad guys had to take a long time to marshal its forces to be able to do something. So yeah, Mordor had to take time to build up for its siege of Gondor. It took time, and we don't as GMs have the ability to give the players an effective way to have warning or to be able to dribble out information, to dribble out the small bits. Most of our players don't pay attention to it. Like they're just the small details. Like, why do I care about X detail? Why is this current thing being a problem? Most players we're too focused on small things, small petty things, because we play characters whose lives live in moments, in days. And we may say, well, we have downtime activities, sharpen gear, do maintenance, buy some things, whore around a bit, train to get your stats up. But we're not having a way to give players a way to have, a 3 or 4, a plot that unfolds quietly, slowly in the background for months and months. Again, I'm going to go back to Red Storm Rising and use it as an example for a book. From the burning of the oil fields to the invasion of Germany is like 6-7 months of time. That's leading up to the rapid mobilization, the problems that are starting to happen here, the attempts to dissuade, to hide, people figuring out the little bits and pieces. Why are certain training schedules being pushed up? Why is this thing happening? And then having people slowly trying to dissuade it. And this could all be happening in the background. And that's why I want to create this intelligence engine that I can glue onto almost any game system, because of the fact that I know my players are not paying attention. They're not. No group is. Like, you're always going to get that one player who's the smart player, who is the Tolans, the Jack Ryans, who can sit here and go, that son of a bitch, and then slap the table and have the whole meeting go, wait, what's going on here? And then go, he's going to steal the sub, the Hunt for October right there, or have some eureka moment. But most players aren't going to see. Most players aren't paying attention to the plot enough to be able to have a eureka moment. And that's not the fault of the players, because I'm sorry, there's a reason why there's specialists who are trained to do this kind of work and be analysts. Most players are too busy doing their own jobs, they're just there to have fun, or they're playing their characters to think about. Because honestly, most of us in the real world turn on the news and we're broadsided by some amazing new event, but if you're like the 2 or 3 people out there who are watching the news constantly, yeah, you kind of watch the economic collapse of a certain nation that forced its hand and then pushed it towards this thing, while everybody else goes, "It's so weird that it came out of nowhere." It didn't come out of nowhere, and so being able to have this engine in the background that's running that I can check periodically, and then have players go, "Hey, what's going on?" and then have a system that I can just roll on and have players and then be able to give them fragments of information that's trying its hardest to be processed, and then give them the information so that way it feels less. I go to the local tavern and I pick up the the Dungeon Times and figure out what the current plot points are in the universe. And but that's currently racking my brain, and it's I think it's almost too much work, but yeah, I and you're right. It is instant gratification or news flashes, but I kind of want to have the go back to, because I want to go back to the idea that there are people who are dedicated to figuring this shit out. Think tanks and agencies that are working the problem. I want spies, and I want rangers who are out there on the frontier, sending messages back to the front, back saying, "Hey, there's weird shit moving on. I'm moving out here on the frontier," and but the hardest part is there are so many variables I need to take into consideration, and it's why I've been silent on writing anything right now, because all brain power is currently being butt fucked by this equation right now.
I think he's got a new campaign concept of having a bard, all orc bard party.
You know what? That'd be fun.
Yep.
Honestly,
Well,
that would
looks
be.
like we didn't make enough money on this last gig, so we're just going to torture town and take the slagged bits of silver and gold that are in the ruins tomorrow morning. We're sorry, guys, but we only had 6 of you show up. You might want to tell the rest of your friends and family move, because we're getting ready to set fire to the rest of this town by now.
God, I'm always up for an all bard party. I really am, because, like I said, I think in other other podcaster shows I've gone into my love of Metalocalypse, or the idea of being a wandering metal band of bards that torches entire cities on accident.
I think there's a book about this sort of thing. Harley Quinn died today, right?
Yeah,
Sucks.
yeah. Unfortunately, we're reaching that point where I I, I almost hate to say it. We're old enough now that the people that we enjoyed when we were young, who were old when we were young, and we're now not young. They're going to start kicking the bucket in greater numbers, more and more. Like, nobody's immortal, and she was good, but she was also like in her 40s when she recorded those episodes 30 years ago. So
She was in her 30s.
still, that puts her into her 60s, and that puts her well into her 60s. And you know what? We lost Kevin Conroy too. So we lost Batman also a while back. So it's one of those things where, I mean, average ages are in their 60s. People die in their 60s and 70s. So, no one lives forever. No one can. So, it's sad, but I really can't. I really can't. Unless the singularity happens right soon, and we can start, saving the good people now.
There's a book that, if you can find it, You may want to check it out. It's an urban fantasy novel written back in 1990
Yeah.
by Gail Baudino, and it's called The Gossamer Axe. We're high
All
tech
right.
here. There's a picture of it off my phone. All right. So anyway, it's about this through magical means. This woman, she's a really 700 years old young woman named Charisti Nikuman, who, through various magical means, survived into the year 1987. In the 6th century, Charisti and her lover, Sudub, were captured by the fair folk and trapped in their static, unchanging world for centuries. But in the late 18th century, she managed to escape and leave her lover behind. For 2 centuries, she's repeatedly tried to win back the Sudub from the Fae, following the gate to their world as it made its way around the world, until she ended up in Denver, Colorado. Under the name of Krista, she has been passing on some, but not all, of her skills with the Irish harp to students. When one of them decides to pay her back by taking her to a Yingy Malmsteen concert. I wish that wasn't in the book synopsis, but it's in the book synopsis. I'm not a big fan of Yngwie Malmsteen, okay? Sorry.
No
Good
worries.
guitar, piece of shit person. Anyway, so she's overwhelmed. The cursed is overwhelmed by the power of rock. She throws herself wholeheartedly in the Denver's metal scene in order to put together a band and defeat the Elvish Harper to win back her lover. So it's got a pretty interesting story to it. The only real problem is it's written by a woman who doesn't have a high opinion of men, and a lot of the males that are in the book are described as perverts. Which, I mean, most men, if you give me the option to be on that bawdy road, I'll be on that bawdy road. But to just function with somebody and converse politely, yeah, we can do that. Men are portrayed very negatively in the story. Every single one displays a large swath of jerk ass behavior, cowardice, outright stupidity, or intensely misogynistic attitudes. The three males can show actual intelligence, compassion, and tolerance, come off almost as saintly by comparison. Now, there's a few things in the book. The themes are like drugs are bad. It's about the 80s,
Right.
specifically the end of hair metal. And it's it seems to be like a pretty impressive book. I read this years ago, but I'm reading the synopsis to get some of the book back in my head because it's like '94 when I read this on the USS McCandless, and I
Yeah,
got
it's
it
been a
from.
bit.
Yeah, it's been a while. Gil Bodino was right, but this is it wasn't a bad book because it was about heavy metal and how heavy metal was really patterned off classical music. And
Hmm.
I think Gil Bodino really hit that on the head. Reading this in '94, there's no more hair metal. Hair metal's gone. Now you have grunge and flannel. No, I don't want that. I want big hair and leather. Give me big hair and leather, please. I'm fucking, what is it? 24 years older now and still begging the world, give me big hair and metal.
Well, there's still power metal out there for you.
Dude, Power Wolf suffices so well.
I
I
know.
don't know if you listen to Gail Bodino. Yeah, 33-year-old. Yeah, it is 33 years old. Holy shit. It's a pretty cool book. It actually, when I read it the first time, I thought I was like hoity toity and look at me, I'm reading a book that some lady that went to college wrote, and it's pretty badass. And she convinces you that heavy metal is literally based off of what Chopin and Mozart were fucking with.
Hmm.
So, I mean, it was pretty interesting. Passed it around to a couple of my friends. One of the guys on ship who was really big into Dream Theater at the time kind of laughed the book off. He's like, "Oh, that sucks." I'm like, "You're an idiot." And here we are, 30 years later, and fucking Dream Theater has really become a shell of its former self.
that happens more than I like. Few bands, stay the way they always should be, or
Like
the
I
way
do
they
gotta
were.
give them. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, no.
Well, I got to give these guys credit. Dream Theater, it took them like almost 15 or 20 years before they decided to write a book about or write a song about a vampire, which I could have lived without. But it's just like after a while, you listen to Dream Theater and the the enthusiasm goes out of them at around 2000, 2009, 2010. It sounded like they just lost all of it. It was Octavarium, their their album Octavarium just could not entertain me. And then a couple releases later, I just stopped buying their stuff. I'm like, I can't get into you. I'm sorry, and I
Well,
hate that. You know,
sometimes you have bands that really just you, you but they almost need to have a rebellion inside it to keep them either on course or they change horribly. Like, yeah, like I'm a Yes fan, the band, and but I also admit that that band almost changes its tone and character like by the decade, and people leave and change, and so I was like, oh, I like this one. Which point in the band did you like? The 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s? There's like 5 versions of the band to listen to. Or
I don't mind. Yes, but if you want me to really get into those guys, I'm gonna just go to Emerson, Lake, and Palmer.
yeah, or in the case of like I'm a fan of Blind Guardian, but there was a point where where after a certain album, um, the the band literally just told them, hey, we're not doing that no more, and it's like because it kept getting more and more and more weirder and weirder, and Hansi was just layering on his voice on way too much to create like a whole chorus of it. The band members told him we can't play any of these songs live because they don't sound right, and so it was almost like this weird change of the band telling him, hey, stop it, we're going back to and making the band playing making songs that we can actually play live, and so or you had to have a point where like say we're like Sabaton where half the band quits and then they bring and then they the remaining original members bring in a whole new group, and then the band and then it changes directions and into a whole more amazing direction of from where it went. So that because the old speed metal guy part of the band goes, we're not playing speed metal. We're going back more into power metal and ballad, weird ass ballad shit. So they all quit, and then the new band comes in, and boom, you get the Carolus Rex album, which is just fucking amazing. And then they've been kind of going off in this weird direction since then. And now we had three albums for the Great War. Cool, but cool. And but you almost need to have a point where the band just goes, "Hey, change of course," or you end up getting Dream Theater where it just kind of goes meander and and it just kind of peters out and drifts off to its inevitable conclusion. So I kind of like it when bands go through and reinvent themselves, but then again, you could also get Metallica's Death Harmonic, which could go fucking die in a fire. So,
Dude, Saint Anger pissed me off
that
so
album,
much.
yeah.
Yep. I can't stand that album. I'm sorry. I know there's probably a friend of mine that just got pissed off. What? He doesn't like Saint Anger? Unsubscribe.
That's
I can
okay.
hear it.
I understand because I had the same. Because I went through the exact same argument with people who were because who are like, they sold out after the Black Album, or they sold out during the Load Reload era, or they sold out during this. I'm like going, they have to reinvent themselves, but sometimes the reinvention is never as good as you want. But guess what? You can always put Ride the Lightning and Injustice for All back in the and Master Drums back in your CD player if you really want to listen to the classics. Okay. You good? You good? We're good. We're all friends.
Earworm agony. um, I gotta agree with Blady. After the Black Album, nothing they did survived the concept stage to recording, and sure shit didn't survive me hearing it.
Yeah.
I saw a thing on YouTube, and I know this is where like 90% of you are like, you see everything on YouTube, Bruce. Yeah, I'm trying to switch over to Rumble slowly, but it'll happen faster if YouTube keeps deleting my fuck Joe Biden comments. I really do not understand how people can listen to Master of Puppets album and then listen to Death and just be like, this is fine. No,
I'm fine.
it's the dog in the fire. This is fine.
I'm sorry. Like I'm gonna use a snare drum for everything. God no. Please stop. Please stop. Stop.
I fucking Justice for All. Somebody tried putting a remix of Justice out on YouTube where they like fix the drum sound because the drums like absolutely are shit and they sound like oatmeal. They sound like the most bland ass Karen built Walmart corporate picnic potato salad shit I've ever heard in my life. I've cussed out people in different languages based on anger towards what happened from Justice for All and Black Album and anything after that. I just don't understand how people can keep buying Metallica albums. Any other band puts out an album like that, it sounds pretty good, man. It sounds pretty nice. But it's Metallica, and I have fucking expectations. The Ride the Lightning, Master of Puppets, Kill 'Em All, and Garage Days.
Yeah.
Even the re-release of Garage Days, all that is so good. Like you can listen to that shit and just you can be transported back to where all you needed was your boots, your good Levi's, or maybe the ones with the holes in them, depends who you are, and your jean jacket. I had a combination jean jacket with a cloth hood that I used to wear all the time. I looked at that jacket last time I was home, and I looked at that jacket and it ripped me just looking at it, thinking about putting it on. I didn't even put it on; it just ripped. Like, oh shit, my 250-pound ass cannot go through my old high school outfits. That poor, that was just like a happier time for us because things were better. We didn't have a massive depression going on. We had better standard of living. We had more understanding with adults. We had all of the adults that we were growing up with at the time in the 80s. We didn't have our grandparents, dead over the course of 4 mysterious years. Just and then you get to the Justice for All album and it kind of falls apart. They got this new guy there, and then Black comes out and it's attached to Bob Rock.
Yeah.
Who's Bob Rock? And so your friend takes you to his dad's record store and he shows you all the shit that Bob Rock produced, and you want to vomit because like it's all top 40 shit. No, no, Metallica, don't do this.
But then again, that was there's a lot more fire going on in the when I was listening to those albums. There's a whole lot more fire going on with
somebody re-recorded all of Master of Puppets, but in the Genesis sound font.
Oh no!
The Sega Genesis sound font, Master of Puppets. It's great. It's really fucking good. I'm so happy that I listened to that all the way through. Like, it wasn't just Master of Puppets. No, it was a whole album and like it was like somebody retooled it in 1993 for a Sega Genesis, and it actually sounded great. Like the Sega Genesis does
Oh,
great with synthwave.
okay. For I'm going to admit that I had misthought about what you had said. You said Genesis, and my brain immediately said, "Oh God, Phil Collins doing Metallica? No, thank you."
No, sir. No.
I was out. I'm like, nope, I'm done here. I don't want to hear that. God. Uh, though I wouldn't mind having Phil Collins fill in. I fill in as the lead singer for a parody album. Okay, okay.
I'll put that in the a link of that in there. That is really fucking good. It's it's like somebody's like, we're gonna play this through the Doom MIDI sound font through a Roland Sound Blaster 16, and I dug it. I've listened
I
to
could
it twice already.
honestly, it does play in the background to like a Doom level. I wouldn't even.
I wouldn't even flinch. I'd be like, oh yeah, give me the rocket launcher. Klaus, give me the rocket launcher.
Hell, hell, we're on. Cool. So new file, new sound file. That would have just been playing just as much happiness, much
And I
happy.
know that
Yes.
some people don't like that. That's fine. But I was listening to that and I'm like, I've just been, you know, I was coming home and I was listening to YouTube music and I hit the trending button instead of my library button. And trending gave me like something that I didn't want to hear. So I only had 10 minutes left to drive. I can listen to two songs of this shit. They managed to cram three songs in 10 minutes, which they suck. All three songs sucked. I think one was actually Nicki Minaj. And I'm like, I
Uh,
just don't understand how people can find this as music. I felt sorry for them. I really did. But I could I could play Doom to that music. I was
yeah.
loving the shit out of it. um,
Honestly, if you told me that came from Doom, I'd be like, yeah, okay, I'm I'm good.
I want to
This
say that there was a Doom level that actually did have Metallica MIDI on it.
if it did, cool.
Yeah,
But
yeah. Go ahead.
now, if so, cool. If not, awesome story. I'm okay with this. Uh, I will live with this. I will live with this new headcanon. Um,
I don't want to think of like Disney's, anything Disney's Metallica. Disney's Metallica is like everything that they released since what, 1996, 1989, somewhere around there. Somewhere out of there, the room when Cliff died, like pretty much all of my hopes and dreams for Metallica died, but I didn't know it at the time. And it took me years to figure out that yeah, old Metallica is great. Why are you buying new Metallica?
because I'm a bit younger, so my point of departure I was so being a bit younger, my point of departure was Injustice for All, and then we went so like how everyone has that point where like new shit sucks. Um, my mine was Master of Puppets and Injustice for All, and then thinking everything past that was crap. So there's a small little fuzzy line of quibbling. This is quibbling range, but boy, that point when Lars decided to piss off the entire, go after anybody who's streaming their streaming MP3s, you download and shit. Don't or I don't or I will sue all your asses. That was the point where I'm like, Fuck you. Fuck everything you do. Hate you. Hate you most. Ah. But that's just also me. Also, I having been like one of the early torrenters out there, and going, am I really gonna get sued by Metallica? Really? Is this the band who's gonna fucking? You know what? I was already pissed off at your shit after Load and Reload being trash. So you know what? Eat a dick. Aren't you gonna buy the new album? No. But no. But you're no. Early young me who was going, ah, steal everything, god damn it. It almost became a point of pride for a while of just, oh, new shit, steal it.
God damn it. Okay. So I have to do something. I was looking on here for like, wait, does my Doom support multiplayer?
Yes, God, yes. The glory years of 2 hours download 2 megs. Yeah. Getting DSL was a glory moment. Being able to actually download music in like 10 minutes. That was so nice. I still have a drive full of those days where we used to have a contest at a game we played at LAN parties, which was always who could play, who had downloaded already and had playing the most niche, obscure song possible. So everyone would start with like, hey, here's some popular music, here's something that's common, and then people like kept one-upping themselves a little bit on more rarer music, more obscure music, like just it kept getting more eclectic, and then eventually people are like, dude, I haven't heard that band before. Can you open? I can you put that folder where I can find it on the network, and people are just starting to trade music back and forth, and which is the whole reason why we were very, very careful about vetting who we let into the LAN parties, is because, well, we're doing just mass trading of music back and forth. I mean, yeah, and it was this nice moment of just like everybody's building up, their own music libraries and trying to trade them back and forth. With, I don't like that band, but I'll take these albums and I'll give you this album, and people are just having this grand music trade back and forth. And it was a wonderful period of, before we had internet streaming where you can just stream whatever you want, and we're like, no, everyone's like hunting for and finding certain albums, and hey, I know you're really into like certain genres. Do you have this music? Yeah, I got this, and it was like this. It was just like this free trade of music, and it was always worth paying the $10 to get into the LAN party just for free access to the music. And yeah, that was the whole point of it. I used to sit, I with my cassette player in the garage, waiting to hit record whenever the radio would start playing stuff. So, and had to wait hours to record again. I don't miss those days. I loved them, but I don't miss. I miss my mixtapes. I miss my mix CDs, but I sure don't miss assembling them. I really don't miss those days.
I just found this guy because I was like, oh, he has a YouTube channel, and he does a lot of Genesis sound font. So if you like MIDI synthwave shit, there you go, kids.
Yeah.
And he's got a lot of it starting about 3 months ago. He does Black Sabbath Master of Reality with a Mario 64 sound font.
Nice.
He has a lot of different stuff, but I mean most of it's heavy metal tuned down to MIDI music. If you like that, I know I do. That sounds weird, but I'm also the guy that I'm waiting to hear Joe Satriani's Fruit from his latest trip into the studio. That's one of my favorite musicians of all time. It always will be. Oh man, I remember making a mixtape. Like you women knew when you were like getting hot for them because you would come to work or school like, hey, I was
With
thinking
mixtape.
about you last night. I made you this, and you hand her that mixtape. You know what I'm talking about, guys.
Yeah.
A lot of you have made mixtapes for women that you were going for. That was like one of the ways that you showed your affection. You know, you try to play DJ Bob or DJ Tom for your little lady friend that was probably a little out of your league, maybe, but you assemble this music for her on this Memorex tape, and maybe she liked it. If she did, she probably would invite you to go do something, or hey, we're going to be hanging out. Why don't you come with us? I like your taste in music. Bring a couple of tapes because we're going to be doing stuff, and it would be nice to hear somebody else's collection, not mine. I had a girlfriend at the time that she was into making mixtapes, and so her mixtapes were much different than mine. I like the Police. She liked the Police to a level that today has helped bankrupt her and her third husband because if Sting is on tour, she's going to go see him as close to the stage as possible. And I can only handle about maybe 4 songs from the Police unless I'm dedicated myself to I want to listen to this whole album. And I don't like the Police that much. They're a good band. They're not ELP. They're not Jimi Hendrix. They're not Joe Satriani.
Right.
It's nothing against them. It's just they're not that band I want to listen to. Not all the time. And I'm happy that I don't have a tape deck that I could torture myself with listening to that anymore. Now we have playlists, and
the sound quality's gone up a whole lot. That's
granted. My wife doesn't really dig the music I listen to, and I can listen to her choice in music as long as it's like her favorite band, which is Tool. But when she gets into anything else, it's like, oh no, never mind. I don't want to listen to gangster rap. I'm good. And she's like, well, that's good because I don't want to listen to any Viking metal.
I
know, right? Well, honey, how about some Sabaton? You'll get a history lesson too. And she just gives you that look like, no, we're not listening to Sabaton today. And you're like, oh, married poorly.
Shame.
I know, right? I brought shame to my family. And so
I can't say anything because it's like when I turn on Spotify's morning mix, while driving, it's like half the playlist is like we've generated just randomly off of your. I know it's going to be Sabaton. About half the playlist is going to be that. I already know, and it's like I can live with this, and then just drive to my. It's my look. I have a lot of metal bands to listen to, but it knows that when I'm in the mood to get my mind into the right mindset for certain games, to play certain characters or run certain scenarios, you better believe I'm going to be listening to them for a bit. Or it's like I have music for various mindsets, and various scenarios, and various games, and it just damn, they have so many eras and genres of history that they want to cover. And as much as I want to listen to some more to some Amon Amar, I'm just like, look, I can only take so much growling. I really can. I'm somebody who wants to have the words. I want to be able to listen to it and understand what they're saying. That is really what it comes down to. Yeah, there's some times where I'm just angry. All I want is that deep growling where I just barely, where it's just yelling and screaming in the microphone, and that's kind of cool. but there are some times where I just want to listen to Man of War, where he's just like, where they're just like, no, it's going to be crystal clear enunciation of the words. You're going to be able to follow every damn fucking syllable and know the story of the song perfectly. And so it's like, yeah, so Man of War will come back on. Back onto the playlist. Blind Guardian will come onto the playlist. And then there's a whole lot of Sabaton, more Sabaton, and then and then some other metal bands will come inching into the automated playlist, and I'm like, I like you. You can. I want more of that, and then more of this, and then that's how I get a week long playlist that just has no repeats, and I love it. But it's like you like 12 songs from this band, and then Sabaton, you like 57 songs from this band. I'm like, yeah, I do. But then again, I also look at my ancient archive of MP3s and go, 3/4 of these songs aren't on Spotify, and I'm okay with this. I don't need to have them on. I don't need to have them on my on Spotify, because if I ever want to listen to them, I just go home and turn on my circa 2004 MP3 playlist running on Winamp, because I will never upgrade that goddamn program. I will find the last working copy and then continue to use it and listen to and look at my shitty circa 2008 visualizers, because that's how it. Because yep, I need my llama kicking ass program. I really do.
I remember playing the Fat Boys Low, and just in case my parents objected to the lyrics, hell no, it's just freaking tame. But my little kid ass didn't know any better. Yeah, I understand it. I pissed my parents off by buying the Dead Milkmen. I don't know if you guys remember the Dead Milkmen or not. That's
Yeah.
really, yeah. They had a song called Punk Rock Girl, which got some airplay on VH1. And then they had really bad songs. They were horrible, horrible songs, but their albums were somewhat funny in a kind of like edgy boy sense, and it worked out good if you were in a punk rock. But my dad told me he never wanted to hear that album ever again, and I felt like I wasted my money, but I didn't know exactly how to say that. I felt betrayed, but I'm like, yeah, this isn't so bad, is it? Grit your teeth, you know. Taking the retards to the zoo. Taking the retards to the zoo. That's that's one of their favorite songs. One of their, yeah. Punk Rock Girl was done on South Street in Philly. Yes, yeah. I believe there were a bunch of Philadelphia-based musicians at the time. They never made it big. They were big in punk rock circles and punk comedy circles. They were not known for much else. They had Bitchin' Camaro, Bitchin' Camaro, Bitchin' Camaro, and I ran over my neighbor, but I'm not going to get in trouble because my dad's the mayor. And that was like their entire song, just like 45 seconds of that, and trying to play guitar, but very poorly. They they meant well, maybe, I don't know, but they were
No, they're
different.
just having fun.
They had a lot of that, I think.
But that's also why I spent a lot of time in the garage, because that was where dad's second stereo was at. So if I could listen to it in the house, I just ended up in the garage and blasting whatever the fuck I felt like about out there, which gave me a lot of time to work on dumb shit out there, usually to my detriment or fire. I had a tendency to have a lot of my shit catch fire when I was working on it. I have I have no idea why I have an affinity towards it. So
So, what are you thinking about doing for? If you don't mind me asking, you're going to be running your scenario here in the next few months. What are you thinking about doing? Sequel to
Honestly,
Pathfinder, or are you going to run
because
something different?
honestly, everyone kind of likes. I like that story because at least Connell sure the heck did.
Mm-hmm.
And following on to that, because like I said, I'm not interested in like demoing a game engine. I'm really not, because honestly, with what I talk about is mostly about how take whatever game engine you are and tell your story. And I kind of think I did a good enough job making people want to play more of that. And I kind of want to see how people handle the one thing that we always talk about but never get a chance to demonstrate: consequences to actions. And while most of the party is inconsequential currently, and I probably would have not run it, I run more of that scenario, except for what Shadow did.
Yeah.
And Shadow threw a giant fucking wrench into things, and that should have consequences. In fact, there are people who, when I explained the scenario, what happened, stopped and went, "Wait, what?" And they're they want to know what's going, how the fuck this is going to be handled, because there's a lot of I don't see a lot of people, but when you got three people who are all power players who are sitting here going, what the fuck? What the fuck? Doubly what the fuck? And why I really want to work on this intelligence agency, information gathering engine is so that way, because Shadow now has to sit there at the helm of the. He is at the helm of the Leviathan beast.
Yeah.
He controls the Leviathan, but I don't think he's prepared to control the Leviathan. He has the Hobbesian Leviathan. He has the reins to it, and there's a lot of people who are now who will be looking in his direction for direction and for guidance, and having to handle the um, you are currently on a a damaged, because remember, the one of the main drive engines is not running at full capacity because it was down for maintenance when it had to go make its emergency takeoff. Most of the crew is not on the ship because the ship didn't have time to put general recall orders to get the crew back on. So most of the crew is currently sitting in town watching their ride take the fuck off and fly off without them. So you got some so it's a battleship with yard dogs and the engineering crew on board and a few of the watchstanders, enough to get it moving and get airborne. And with like most of the crew sitting here going, "Oh fuck, hey guys, our ride's leaving," and having a bunch of people who were probably half drunk coming out of bars with all the explosions, and then watching their ship take off and going, "Oh fuck, um, what do we do?" And so and yeah, plus a lot, plus a failed coup currently in progress. That's the other thing. Coup in progress. The party wasn't supposed to live through, which is okay. I wanted you guys to live through it, but the people who had orchestrated the coup are going, "What do you mean he lived? What do you mean they lived? What do you mean the ship's? Who's in charge?" And having chaos going on here, and being able to look at Shadow and go, "Hey, how are you handling this? What are you doing?" As literally as, because he's got, honestly, I left you guys in an information vacuum There's no real way for him to know who's loyal, who's disloyal, what part of the cabinet and government that wasn't murdered is loyal and disloyal, who's in communication, who's not, and how and everyone's going to look at the commander in chief, who Shadow is now replacing, and going, "What do we do, sir? What are your orders?" And then watch somebody who doesn't like being an authority figure have to be the authority figure. Because there's one thing about wanting to be the president and wanting the reins of power, and another to know how to use it. Because the guy who was murdered and who is kind of dead, not dead, charred corpse in eternal agony, living in a ditch, buried in a ditch, because that's what Shadow did to him, and Shadow should realize that the president isn't, that his spell needs a living target. It duplicates a living target.
Yes. That's
his spell is still working. And it will work the next morning because he just recasts it. That should tell him the president is not dead. Which is another kink in the works. Because because his press secretary, the buxom raven-haired woman that he decided to take with him, she's literally a fucking demon. She's a demon. She's a bound demon to an artifact that Shadow picked up. She can't die for as long as that item exists. But here's the thing. If she stabs whoever, anyone stabbed with that dagger that he's got, can't die until she says so. They live, it doesn't matter how far into the negatives they are still a semi-conscious, painful, writhing in agony corpse that can feel and think and trapped, kind of like the song One, where they're just trapped in a body that's just mangled slowly. And it's her way of torturing people. Now, it's been used tactically to stab loyal teammates, and then she can now control if they live or die, and so therefore she can walk over. She or somebody else can walk over to the corpse, put a gun to their head, and blow their brains out, and they're still alive. They just drag the body out, and she just walks over there and uses heal magic to bring them back to life. Well, congratulations, you're no longer dead. And she's a horrible, horrible monster, and she was the president's sidekick. She knows that he's not dead. Why? She's the one who decides if he dies. And she's not letting him die. She likes the idea that the mortal human who's currently writhing in a burnt-up, charred-up corpse in a ditch is going to be that ditch for a very, very long time. But this is now Shadow's new sidekick.
Oh, no.
We've always talked about about running consequences to actions. This is my chance to show consequences to actions.
You gotta run that, because I want to see people twitch. I want to see people shifting in their seats, man.
Yeah.
I want to see that. I want to see the table go to hell, because that's going to be a lot of fun.
I'm happy for this. There won't be much combat. It will be a very role-playing heavy thing, though it might turn into combat, if somebody's just has paralysis due to too many options, too much information, too many choices coming in too fast, and watching players go, I don't. So it might turn into um, some. I'm not saying no combat, but I'm saying it's going to be entirely up to how players choose to deal with things, because this is a definite jump in scale and jump in focus where um, things are. You're right. There should be some squirming. There should be some oh fuck, because this isn't a very. This is. I hate to say it. You guys aren't. I as much as I've said in the past, I have tried to let players make a good country, and I've seen players never make a good place. They've never, when I've given them the reins of the Leviathan, of the power, they've never done anything good with it. They tried, but at best, what I get is Illuminati, shadow government working in the background, and it's just doing dark evil things to keep the wheels of civilization rolling forward. And I want to see going, yeah, guys, it's Full Metal Alchemist. You're literally at the rates of an Italian version of a Mestria, and there's a lot of bad things been going on, and yeah, there's blood magic, demon powers, and other weird shit going on here. There's like there's dimensional deals going on here. Like you just walked into it and went, I'm the one in charge. And at which point, when your chief of intelligence walks in and goes, yeah, here's your morning brief, sir. What the fuck's all this? Well, the morning brief. Here's the current situation, and I'm currently writing that situation report right now. I have it open on my desktop, actually. And date, names. I'm working out all the information so that way it looks like an actual daily brief report being dropped on his desk, and going, this is a lot of information. None of it's accurate. Well, I'm not going to say none of it's accurate. None of it's 100% accurate. It can't be 100% accurate. It's fragmentary. Here's clues. Here's analysis coming from people who are professionals operating off of incomplete data, making assumptions, so that way you can make a semi-informed choice. But unfortunately, the context of the information that would be in place are in the head of the dead guy. The not quite dead guy. So the guy who's had 20 years of these briefings is in a ditch right now, and a commissar is sitting here going, "Oh shit, yeah, I know kind of what's going on here, but not to this degree, because he was never. Because yes, you guys were the bodyguards, but was he ever in for the situation reports? Were you ever there? Maybe, maybe not. I mean, I've got some months to plan and work, because I gotta do some work on this to make sure I'm doing it right. But yeah, I'm planning for this, and I want to run this really bad.
Kai,
Yeah.
That we could go on another topic, but I think that's really the best way we could end tonight, because
Yeah.
I'm very curious about the world you created for us. I really like that character that I've got. It's right behind me in the notebook that I use for my NPCs and PCs, and I really like that character. But man, I've got to know, so whenever we go back to run, your game or your system, whatever you want to run, please run the sequel to this. Hey, Janet from Another Planet.
Hey, Janet.
I want to see this happen so bad, because
I do too.
It was so much fun just to play in your world, and Baron and I, we were having fun just doing our thing, kind of tag teaming off each other. And
Yeah,
then, we got to, what Shadow was doing. And then Shadow does that. And I'm like, what?
that was the single. I I've had other odd moments like that in gaming, and I always loved those moments. So I'm I'm happy to finally be able to play off this, and it was fun watching somebody else do it. I'm uh,
Oh, yeah.
oh
It,
yeah,
it, it's going to be a lot of fun to experience what you have in plan for it, have in store for us.
I
Um,
and I
I'm
hope
working.
a fragment of it is, and I hope a fragment of it will come out intact. I really do.
Yeah, that's always the desire. Right now I'm writing my game book, and I I had this big document that I had planned, and I'm like, I can't do the big document in such short time. Let me shrink it down to the first 5 levels. First 5 levels will be basically like your starter levels, your basic levels, and then you get your hero classes after that. Then if you prestige afterwards, that's great. But I want
Yep.
to have like
Good night,
kind of
lady.
night, lady. Take care, bud. I want to have the basic classes have about the same power curve as
Mm-hmm.
the NPC classes from Pathfinder, because you're not playing people that are super powerful. You're playing like an 18 or 19-year-old kid that you're on the cusp of adulthood. You're coming into your own. You're not going to know it all. You're surely as hell not going to be able to do everything you want.
Okay.
You're going to have limitations, and I really like that idea. And I think once you get after like 6th level, like you go for your main class, which this kind of takes the mindset from Dungeon Crawl Classics that gives you your 0 level and you level up to level 1. I think that you need something more than just one dungeon to get to first level. I want to do like a bit of time. I need time to be something that has to be a factor in the game. And a lot of people might like that. They might appreciate that because there's too many games out there that you're first to 20th level within like 4.5 months.
Gosh,
And
no.
I don't like that. I want to have it to where you do have a period of time. You'll have your tough 20s, and you make a lot of mistakes, and then you start hitting your stride in your upper 20s, and you start like figuring out what you're doing. And it's hinted at in the book. There's going to be a DMG for it, not a very big one, but like 32 or 64 pages, where I recommend like there are some things DMs should do behind the scenes. You should keep good notes as a DM, and two, you should keep an ear out for what the players want, and not give it to them immediately, but work towards it. And three, a big part of this game is when you're coming of age, you don't learn it by yourself. If you go in the woods and you're like, I want to be like Tarzan, or I'm going to be like, Jack London, and I'm going to, learn this stuff on my own, you're going to die. But if you go into a environment where you have a mentor that teaches you basics or refines some things you've already started to do, and he teaches you how to do those things well and faster, that's something that I think needs to be represented. You need to have like going from being a child to an adult. When you're a kid, you might have a dad that lets you help him with a carburetor or work on your grandfather's tractor or something. And you might know some things just from what you've caught. Your dad probably has, supervised you on things until he feels you're good at it. But when you turn 18 or 19 or whenever you take formal training like a industrial arts class with a guy that's got 40 years in the business, and his hands are like this because one of the fingers got cut off. I mean, when you get formal training on it, that's when you really start to put in some really good applied training for the things that you're already predisposed to do. So when you go from like your basic classes into your quote unquote your hero classes, you're going to have a bunch of abilities that will pile onto you that help augment what you already do, but it doesn't really raise the power curve much. How much does it really raise the power curve to go from warrior to fighter? in Pathfinder. It doesn't really raise the power curve that much, because you're still doing basically small things. Your 5th to 6th level, you're not changing the world at those levels. You're changing a region, or you're becoming influential within your community. That's about it. And I think that needs to be represented fairly well. I think that needs to be brought into play and focused on the players, or at least into the narrative for a bit, to where like the world is much bigger than you. You could find somebody that could teach you things that you'll enjoy to learn, and always keep your guard, always have your head on the swivel. Just some basics, for the world, because there's some things that people don't do with gaming. Like with gaming, a lot of people are like, it's a superhero tale where you go into a dungeon and you kill everything and you come out with all the money. That sounds great. I don't think that'd be really how it works. I think you go into a dungeon and you find the super goblin, and he butt fucks your magician, and he probably stabs your cleric in the eye with a sword, and you might make it out with a few coins more than what you had going in. I think that's actually what would happen. Janet, you have a good night, sweetheart.
There's a reason why some of us. There's a reason why some of us really like Goblin Slayer. So
it's not just the fact that it's one of the first cartoons that really goes into the depictions of how evil really is on a seriously small level.
Yeah.
It goes into a lot of other things too, and it focuses well. It does a very good job of honing in on where the weaknesses are in humanity and where we fail as people. I could go into a full 2-hour dissertation on Goblin Slayer. I don't want to do that.
I did too.
I want to end this broadcast and be happy that I got out of you the information I did out of your super adventure that you're running Table Breakers on. I hope you work on it. I really do. I hope you focus on it and get that written out to where we're ready. We get the time to do that. Six Nations Berserk is great. The problem I have with Berserk is amazing, but Berserk will never be finished.
No.
That's the part about it that really hurts the most.
Yeah, but there's,
go ahead.
Again, people die. That's the shit part. There's a couple of series that I really, really loved that never will get be finished, and that's sad. But I've just I can mentally run my own version of it, and it will be just as terrible, or won't be as good, but it'll go in my own direction, and it'll be fun. After all, I make fun of certain writers and go, where we wrote, where as it was being released, we went, oh, this is our headcanon, that will be so much better, and then watch where the actual story went, and then went, it's still good, but we liked ours better, and embraced that joy, and went, well, in a different world, it played out differently. Oh well.
Yeah. Thanks for being here with me again another time. Sorry about the slight delay. For you guys that have been here the whole time, Flatey, Six Nations, 31 Kings, Janet, I know you're recent and you're probably going off to bed. For everyone here that elected to spend 2 or 3 hours of your time with us tonight, after you've already watched maybe other hours of my stuff today, which you didn't have to do that, but I do appreciate it. I very much so am grateful and thankful for you, and look forward to seeing you here tomorrow.
All right, try to have a good night, because I've got a busy day tomorrow, so try to enjoy it.
All right, well, I'll see you around 7 o'clock, I think, for Bronx Tale.
Yep, I'll be watching. Until then,
we're watching. Until then, thank you, sir.
Yep.